Welcome to WT History. In this series, we list all the major events that happened in the world in a year, starting from 1776 to 2024. We start in January with Eli Whitney, the inventor of the cotton gin, securing a massive contract with the U.S. government to produce 10,000 muskets. Whitney introduced the concept of interchangeable parts, which would later lead to mass production as we know it today. On February 15th, Representative Roger Griswold of Connecticut got into a physical fight with Congressman Matthew Lyon of Vermont inside the House of Representatives. Griswold attacked Lyon with a cane after Lyon had earlier spit in his face. Despite the chaos, the House declined to punish either man. On April 7th, the U.S. officially organized the Mississippi Territory from land ceded by Georgia and South Carolina. Later, the territory would expand twice to include land disputed between the U.S. and Spain. Eventually, this area would become the states of Mississippi and Alabama. On April 30th, the United States Department of the Navy was officially established as a cabinet-level department with Benjamin Stoddert as its first secretary. Out west, on June 13th, the Spanish founded Mission San Luis Rey de Francia in California. This was part of a series of missions built to spread Christianity among Native American populations. Today, the mission still stands as a historic site. June 18th saw the passage of the first of the infamous Alien and Sedition Acts. These laws, passed amid fears of war with France, restricted immigration and made it illegal to criticize the government. They were highly controversial and would later play a major role in shaping American free speech laws. On July 7th, Congress officially rescinded all treaties with France, launching the Quasi-War, a naval conflict fought entirely at sea. That same day, the USS Delaware captured the French vessel Le Croyable, marking the first victory for the newly re-established U.S. Navy. On July 16th, the Relief of Sick and Disabled Seamen Act is signed into law, creating the Marine Hospital Service, the forerunner to the current United States Public Health Service Commissioned Corps. On September, Charles Brockden Brown published the first significant American novel, the Gothic fiction Wieland, or The Transformation, an American Tale. On October 2nd, the Cherokee Nation signed a treaty with the U.S., allowing settlers to travel freely through their lands in Tennessee via the Cumberland Gap. This helped open up more western migration. And finally, on October 7th, U.S. Representative Matthew Lyon of Vermont becomes the first member of Congress to be put on trial for violating the new Sedition Act of 1798. On March 5th, French troops entered Bern, the capital of the old Swiss Confederacy. This invasion marked the collapse of Switzerland's old political order and paved the way for French influence in the region. Just 2 days later, on March 7th, French forces invaded the Papal States, leading to the establishment of the Roman Republic. April 12th saw the proclamation of the Helvetic Republic, a French client state, following the collapse of the old Swiss Confederacy. The new republic, with its temporary capital in Aarau, marked the beginning of a more centralized Swiss government under French control. May 7th witnessed a failed French attempt to capture the Ile Saint-Marcouf from the British. The British garrison successfully repulsed the French assault, inflicting heavy losses. On June 12th, the French took Malta from the Knights of St. John. This was a strategic victory for France, as Malta was a key naval base in the Mediterranean. July 1st marked the beginning of Napoleon's Egyptian campaign as he disembarked his army at Marabout Bay. This campaign aimed to weaken British influence and establish a French presence in the region. On July 12th, the French troops clashed with the Mamelukes at the Battle of Shubraqit. Napoleon's forces emerged victorious, paving the way for their advance from Alexandria towards Cairo. One of the most iconic battles in history took place on July 21, the Battle of the Pyramids. Napoleon decisively defeated the Ottoman forces, using his tactical genius to outmaneuver the Mamelukes. Following his victories, Napoleon entered Cairo on July 24th, securing French control over Egypt. Back in France, on September 5th, the Jourdan Law made conscription mandatory. This law ensured that France could maintain large armies to continue its revolutionary wars. On September 10th, the Piedmontese Republic was declared in what is now northern Italy. This was another client state of France, extending revolutionary influence further. By October 12th, resistance against French occupation erupted in the southern Netherlands in the form of Peasants' War. But this rebellion was brutally crushed in Hasselt on December 5th, resulting in the death of 5,000 to 10,000 people. On October 23rd, Ottoman Albanian forces under Ali Pasha defeated the French and captured Preveza in the Battle of Nicopolis. This was a significant setback for the French in the Balkans. 2 days later, on October 25th, Ali Pasha's forces captured Butrint from the French after a week-long siege, further diminishing French control in the region. On November 4th, the Russo-Ottoman siege of Corfu, a French-held island, began. This siege was part of a larger struggle to push the French out of strategic Mediterranean positions. Finally, on December 6th, General Joubert of the Piedmontese Republic occupied Turin, the capital of Sardinia. This was a key victory in securing French influence in northern Italy. Before moving on, please consider subscribing if you are enjoying the series. The Irish Rebellion of 1798 began in March when the leadership of the Society of United Irishmen, a group uniting Catholics and Protestants under Republican ideals, was arrested and martial law was declared. The rebellion's first battles took place on May 24th, but the expected French support was minimal, leading to the rebels' defeat by September. The final battles at Killala and Tory Islands saw British forces crush the remaining resistance by October, capturing Irish leader Wolfe Tone and effectively ending the uprising. Meanwhile, in London, a dramatic event unfolded on May 27th. British Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger fought a duel against opposition politician George Tierney on Putney Heath. Nobody was harmed, and the general reaction was of amusement, with one commentator suggesting never did two men meet more ignorant of the use of their weapons, ridiculing their incompetency with the pistol. On August 1st, the British Navy, led by Lord Horatio Nelson, scored a major victory against the French at the Battle of the Nile. This battle saw 11 of the 13 French battleships destroyed or captured, including the flagship Orient, which exploded in a massive fireball. Nelson himself was wounded in the head but emerged victorious. According to a British account, after a round shot had taken off both his legs, Vice Admiral Brueys, the commander of the French fleet, strapped himself to an armchair on deck so that he could continue to direct the fight. His ship exploded 1 hour later after a fire on board reached the gunpowder stores. The resulting blast was seen from miles away and may have killed as many as 800 of the ship's crew. On September 18th, Lyrical Ballads by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge was published. This launched the English Romantic movement, forever changing poetry and storytelling. Meanwhile, in India, British forces continued their expansion. On October 22nd, the French garrison at Hyderabad surrendered to troops of the East India Company under James Kirkpatrick. This was a crucial victory for British colonial rule in India. In an interesting discovery, on November 8th, British whaler John Fern became the first European to land on the remote Pacific island of Nauru. This tiny island would later become an important site for phosphate mining. Beyond Britain, 1798 saw two fascinating global developments. Alois Senefelder invented lithography, a printing technique that would revolutionize mass communication. And in Australia, European explorers made a bizarre discovery: the platypus. Scientists were baffled by this strange creature, unsure if it was even real at first. Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical recaps. See you next time.